We are going to uncover the issues that how the IT and ITES industry can contribute to the digital inclusion, ensuring accessibility, diverse population, and addressing the global digital divide. On the stage, I welcome all the panelists. First of all, Mr. Vikas Kumar Singh, Vice President India, Head Government Affairs at SAP, a seasoned professional with law and international business background, over 25 years in public policy, government affairs, advocacy, government relations, compliances, experienced across multiple sector and industry associations. A huge round of applause, please. Mr. Kohli, Senior Director at Cognizant. Mr. Kohli is a business strategist, expert in program management, service delivery, large delivery center management, resource management, business operation, client delivery management, cyber security, account management, and business finances. We are elated to have him today with us. Huge round of applause, please. Mr. Raizada, Sorabh, partner and principal people solution at Posterity Consulting. Mr. Bali is carrying several years of work experience and has closely worked with the industry, Fortune 500 consulting organizations and educational institutions. He has taken and established various strategic and innovation initiatives and is responsible for driving growth businesses. A huge round of applause, please. Mr. Raj Jain, Head of Talent APAC, Human Capital Management at EbixCash. Mr. Harsh is the mastermind behind the incredible talent acquisition engine with 23 years of experience navigating the dynamic Indian IT scene, possesses an uncanny ability to identify the hidden gems and building high-performing teams. A very warm welcome. Huge round of applause, please. Mr. Vikas Kumar, Senior Vice President and Global Practice Head, Cloud and Infra Business, an adept leader with broad perspective and effective approaches. His career spanning over 20 years has been highlighted by the rapid advancement through a series of increasingly responsible leadership roles at DXC, CSC, and IBM. We are elated to have him. Huge round of applause. Mr. Ashish Kumar, Service Delivery Manager, TCS, a highly accomplished individual with a diverse background in business consulting, supply chain management, and green technology. With over a decade of international experience, he has worked for renowned companies such as Tata Consultancy Services, Accenture, Jackson Group, Sucam, Nokia, in countries like Sweden, China, UK, and India. A huge round of applause, please. I welcome all the panelists to the second panel discussion during our 9th Corporate Summit 2024. I now request our students to welcome the guests with a planter. First of all, Isha would present a planter to Mr. Vikas Kumar Singh. Huge round of applause, please. I request Aarti to present a sapling to Mr. Kohli. Huge round of applause, please. I request Singh to present a sapling to Mr. Raizada Sorabh Bali. Round of applause, please. I request Vijay to welcome Mr. Harsh Raj Jain of EbixCash. I request Ayushi to welcome Mr. Vikas Kumar. Hi. And I request to present a sapling to Mr. Ashish. Over to the moderator of the session, Mr. Sameer Kohli.
Good afternoon. You all have tea, coffee, you all have some breakfast. Good afternoon. Thank you. See, I'm so glad today to be back here. I was there last year in Italy. I'm slowly and gradually getting addicted to this beauty, the bright faces, so much of the future I can see. It's really great. And believe me, it's a good addiction to many others, but this is the best one. Now, today I have a stellar lineup with me for all speakers here. Right? You name it and you have it. The innovators, the solution makers, industry experts, experts in the legal area. So a lot is going to happen in the next 1 hour. I think we are going to listen to them, and it's going to be a good learning for me, and I think it's going to be a great learning for all of you if you pay attention. See, one of the requests I would make before we start the session is keep your notepads ready. We are going to talk about a lot of things. This is about IT and the value it is going to create in the next 25 years or so. If you don't really resonate with any term or any terminology, right, take a note of that, and probably you will all have to do a lot of Googling after the session. Don't do it during the session. So today we are going to talk about the topic. This is about navigating corporate excellence, sustainable growth or sustainable excellence in the context of ITES, in the context of India Vision 2047. So let me just take a couple of minutes to break down this topic a little bit so that we are all on the same page. 2047, I think many people have spoken about this. What is our vision? And it is not just about becoming the world largest economy. We are also talking about the life expectancy increase, the quality of life increase, the infrastructure development happening, the education increasing, the literacy rates increasing, also becoming self-dependent in terms of our defense. So big in India and all of that. Now, with that context in mind, let's also break down what is this sustainable growth or sustainable excellence. Now, these two words, practically, we need to understand excellence is something which is always related to exceeding the expectations. Yes? No? Yes, you guys need to respond. I won't like that only. Yes? No? Yes. Excellence means we are going to exceed the expectations. Sustaining something means that we are going to sustain something where we are. Understand these two words in the context of today's conversation, that you have to sustain the excellence, which means every now and then you have to raise your bar. If you look at the blueprint of 2047, for an example, that has been put in place, we are not going there as a flat line. Probably we are going to maybe sustain our last 10 years growth for another 5-6 years. That's what the plan is. And once we get there in 2030, we have to accelerate further. And a decade down the line, 2040, we have to further accelerate. So it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And this is the set of people, you are a subset of those people who are going to make this happen. Now it's a Sunday afternoon, guys, and all of my friends are here. That's great. Thanks. Someone is paying the attention. Yeah, why we are here? Right? Easy Netflix on the sofa, we could have done that, right? Just simple brunch with family. We are here because we see the future here. We want to pass on the baton. We want this group to learn from our experience, our mistakes that we have done, or our vision, what are do's and don'ts. Previous session I was listening to a lot of great stories, right? And I think if you will pay attention, I think this is great learning. Next 50 odd minutes, I'm going to take a lot of notes and I'm going to ask a lot of tough questions to my team here. 2 more minutes and then we'll start with the questions. So in that context, what does it mean in terms of the collaborative ecosystem that we are talking about, right? So IT is not IT anymore. It's not like in a room that we are sitting and we are just producing some MIS for the business. They're really touching the life. And more importantly, just as an example, IT has now the onus to save the planet, right? Everyone globally is talking about the carbon footprint, the carbon emission. Right? IT is at the center of it. creating the right kind of models, creating the right kind of methodology so that we can really make the business sustainable for our planet. Now, can an organization do that on their own? Can we just start an organization and all the expertise, all the methodologies can be created from the scratch? The answer is no. In the heart of this discussion that we are going to have now, we recognize that a single entity, single-handedly will not be able to do this. The expectations are changing at a rapid pace. A few years back, we didn't have this expectation that the next day delivery of our favorite item will happen. It is happening today. That was happening a couple of years back also. Today our expectation is the applications like Blinkit, 10 minutes. Why it is 12 minutes, 15 minutes? That's the kind of expectation increasing. With that kind of expectation increase, are we going to look into the innovation together as the community, as the industry, with all the stakeholders coming together? Or are we going to do all these things in silo? I think those are some of the thoughts I wanted to put on the table. I hope it makes sense so that you can connect with what the speakers here are going to talk about. So let me start with Bikas. On these lines, this sustainable growth, sustainable excellence, and especially with the vision of 2047, what are your views? How do you see this?
Thank you very much, Sabine. In remarks, I think it's so good for all of us to be here in the midst of all that energy that you have. Now, whatever we are saying here, mind you, it's not just a one-way process. I mean, it's not some kind of a gyan that people come in, sit for an hour, and give it back to you. So let me start off by saying that in case you are able to imbibe even 20% of what we are going to be speaking in the next half an hour, probably you would have done our job very well. And there's a very selfish interest. You guys are today studying your management. Tomorrow you will become industry ready, as they call it. And it's important for you to be a very well-baked product coming to us, because then my job becomes easier. I can pass the patent once you join my company, hypothetically join my company if you're good enough. My job gets much more easier. So there's a selfish interest also, Sameer, that I really wanted to tell before we do that. Now coming back to it, I mean, while there will be multiple things, Sameer, as we go along in the panel discussion. But for me, I mean, having spent all these years in the industry now and having a very diverse background, so I'm a lawyer by background, went back to Delhi School of Economics, did my MBA, and then have been working across industries. Having worked for Vicky for many, many years, Lenovo, Oyo, Carlsberg, now with SAP. One thing, a common thread that I have realized is that probably, I mean, while your classroom tutorials, your projects and everything are very, very important for you to succeed and pass that examination, which will give you the MBA degree. But probably what you learn beyond that is going to be very, very handy and really determine your success. I mean, many a times, and apologies for saying this, the MBA programs or the syllabuses that you do in your class, many a times are dictated by a university grant commission or an AICTE and everything, and they are not really nimble-footed. While they want to do a lot of things, the system is such that they can't really take quick decisions. And while they are making those decisions, the world has moved forward. So what books or something that were probably recommended to you almost 10 years ago are completely irrelevant now. I'll give you an example from a technology perspective. So for a company like SAP, I mean, it's one of the largest ERP companies in the world. Almost a monopoly situation. 80% of the world ERP works on SAP. Yet SAP this year had to undertake a challenge where they are actually restructuring, which is a sugar-coated word for golden handshakes. Almost 8,000 people are going to be given handshakes because SAP is wanting to prepare themselves for tomorrow. One big devil that has come into the room, which is going to touch us in every aspect of life, is artificial intelligence. Even ERPs are not bereft of that. So those kind of changes which are happening, how capable, how confident, and how equipped you are to really understand changes which are going to hit you, impact you, And again, I'll give you an example. Probably you guys can relate. I mean, today, maybe an electric vehicle company like Tata Nexon, a brand, I mean, you want to become a brand manager for Tata Nexon, feeling that it's happening, there are a lot of sales which are going to happen. But also at the same time, are you keeping track of what is going to happen to the battery technology? Is the battery technology a good solution as far as electric vehicles are concerned? What will happen? Unless you keep track of those extra areas also, probably you can't succeed. And that's where coming back to Samir and I'll close it here, is that if you really want to prepare yourselves for the 2030 that the government and Honorable Prime Minister is talking about the 2047, when India is going to become a 100-year-old country, if you want to really prepare yourself for that, please, expand your horizon. And simple examples that I talked about it when I was on a similar platform with the same institute during the pandemic. For example, how many of you, every day read the Economic Times or the Financial Times or the Business Standard? How many of you do? Have you ingrained that part into your DNA? Because that's something which will give you not more interesting. So those are a few examples, where my suggestion or equipping yourselves is probably go beyond what is being taught to you within the four walls of the classroom and keep your eyes and ears open and analyze constantly that are you equipped to handle and adapt to that change. That in my opinion is something that I want to teach.
Thank you so much, Vikas. And I'm just thinking that, if someone could have given this kind of advice when we were in 20s, right? Looking beyond what you are being told in the newspaper, just thinking, applying your pattern, as Vikas rightly said, autonomous cars are coming. Has someone really thought about that? What is the insurance industry is going to look like a few years from now, right? And all these ripple effects, if we can really start thinking about it, might be right or wrong, but you will not be drastically wrong in your career. So thanks for all this advice, because this is really great. So I think in terms of really moving forward, there are a lot of things in terms of the government policies, in terms of really the regulations coming into the picture, which will help us really taking it to the next level. So Sorabh, I would like to hear your views on this, that how these policies, these regulations are really going to help us in terms of this collaborative ecosystem, and you are best in terms of selecting the talents from market, and what's going to be your advice to this group?
Thank you, Singh. See, I'll tell you my area of expertise that we are hiring people day and night, and I've been doing this hiring business for the last 15 years. I present a recruiting and talent advisory firm, and in fact, around 80% of our clients are technology background. Let me tell you, this industry is very, very lively. The jobs which were existing in 2014, 15, they are no more existing in 23, 24. So here, you have to pay a lot of attention. You have to keep your ear and eyes open on the policies that government is forming, on the emerging technologies, because India has made 12 sector as the super sectors. Because these super sectors are going to play a very important role in the Indian economic upliftment. So if you want to attain the goal of becoming a developed nation, so you have to work on all these 12 super sectors. And let me tell you that a sector that is IT and ITES is going to play a very important role. It has been considered as one of the major drivers in the Indian economy. And in fact, when we talk about the Indian economy, somewhere around the contribution of IT and ITES sector in the Indian economy is somewhere around 8%. Directly, indirectly, if you see, it is going to be more than 20%. The major chunk of white collar work is into ITES, and it comes to IT and ITES, IT technology also. So it's coming into in this particular sector. Around 5.4 million people are employed in IT, ITES, technology, internet, digital and e-commerce sector. So now the thing is that how government is helping in regulating the upcoming technology, future, and what kind of the jobs, what kind of the opportunities are coming for the young generation. If you see the government framework, the government is putting a lot of efforts. I mean, they are developing the new framework for STEM. STEM means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Because if you see the course curriculum, what Mr. Singh has told you that, if you see the course curriculum, it is absolutely way far. I mean, what exactly we are expecting from the colleges and universities, especially in terms of technology. So you have to upskill yourself, you have to upgrade yourself. I mean, I don't hesitate to tell you that you have to take a kind of rebirth. If you have to take a kind of rebirth to have a sustainable career in the industry. These history, chemistry, electromagnetic waves, or I mean, these stories, course curriculum, definitely I mean it has a very important role. But then again, apart from that, you have to work on a lot of segments so that you can have a stable career. Another point, if you see, especially for the women, in the technology sector, I mean, the technology has application in almost all the sectors, whether it is healthcare, whether it is medical devices, whether it is aerospace and defense, logistics, transport. So you can't survive without technology. And the good news for women is that, if you see the employment scenario for the women in the technology sector, technology and its application, you will see that 36% of workforce is women. Right? And then again, if you see the contribution of job opportunities in technology and other related sectors, majorly from the people who have upgraded themselves. So apart from the regular course curriculum, you have to upgrade yourself. You have to have a sustainable career in the industry. And then again, you have to upgrade yourself so that you can understand the government rules, regulation and policies. I'm not sure how many of you are reading books, magazines, government website. I mean, if you see the Invest India program of Government of India, so it is fantastic. They are covering almost all the sectors. They are bringing a lot of companies here in India for investment, and they are creating a lot of jobs. I mean, in last 14 years, if you see, there has been almost, in last 10 years, there must be around 1800 companies that came down to India, and their motive is to hire good talent. The purpose of coming down to India is that they have a lot of expectation that India is full of talent, and I'm sure we are going to get a lot of talent in India. But then again, if you see, there is a huge disappointment. Huge disappointment because there is a large gap in between industry and academia. Though we are producing 5 lakh engineers every year, but then again, if you see the employability ratio, only 8 to 10% of employees. So we have to work, I mean, of course, student, academia, industry, along with the government, we have to work, in a collaborative way so that we can achieve our aim. And another thing I would like to add, one of the government initiatives, we are considered as an offshore center. I mean, we are considered as a IT service providing talent. So now the government of India has set their aim to be the world #1 innovation product development country, and they are bringing a lot of regulation in this particular sector. I'll hand over the mic to Sameer, and I'm sure these insights will help you to understand the new rules, regulation, and the updation from the industry. Thank you.
So thank you, Sorabh. I think this is great insight. It's very good like. Thank you guys. So I think you touched upon a lot of things, right, in your message. So my request to the team here out there is, please go beyond what is there in the standard curriculum. There is scientific reason in terms of what the curriculum is today. It opens your mind in terms of some fundamentals, but those are not going to be good enough. That's the message Sorabh is saying. You have to actually go beyond. And this learning in the previous session also we saw that it has to be a continuous process. Let me tell you what is different between now and 10 years back. 10 years back, the pace of learning was very different. Today, the pace of learning is very, very fast. Just think about there are a lot of new Gen AI and other stuff that is coming into the picture here. The innovations are not now waiting for 10s and 20s of years to produce new products in the market. There's a lot of collaborative, again, we are talking about the collaborative ecosystem, wherein people come together all across the globe, learn from each other very, very fast. So you don't have to fail fast. You just have to be part of community, right? And community will tell you that these are the 50 ways that you can fail. Don't try this, because we have already tried that. So learning comes very, very fast. So try to be part of the community. Try to be, learning the things in a different way, innovating things in a different way. Open your mind in terms of going beyond what Mr. Vikas also said. Think beyond. Have your point of view, which is very, very important. Look at Tesla for an example. The way they have done the innovation. It is not that some 7 people, 20 people sitting in an air-conditioned office and trying to create the cars. It's a global collaboration, right? People from all across the globe, experts coming in, kind of creating the parts and the data input that is going in. It is tremendous, tremendous. So what usually would take maybe 20 years, they are trying to do it within 5 years, right? So that's the kind of beauty of this collaborativeness. And thanks again, Sorabh, for sharing all these point of view. Now, while we're touching this innovation part, because I would like to come to you, that as part of the vision of 2047, many of people sitting in this room, I'm sure they want to have a startup, they want to be an entrepreneur in the future, right? And not just bank upon some jobs and all. How this new way of innovation and how this new vision of having more and more entrepreneurs in the market, how do you see this kind of converging in the next couple of decades?
Thank you, Singh. Thanks for the question, and it's my pleasure. Quite exciting to point out. So, couple of things. So, probably I would say that startups and the industry has been collaborating in a big way. As it said that it's take 2 to tango. Okay. So the industry is giving the stability. They are giving the resources because they have the money. They have the access to the customers, 14,000 customers, which is all across the country. They have the access to the new technologies, whereas startups have the energy, they have the passion, they have the deep technology depth, and they have the agility. So they are getting married together, and there are many examples and the strategies that industry has already adapted on. Like there are innovation centers, co-innovation centers which have been opened up. Like TCS call it as a COIN, which is co-innovation network. They adapt the startups in that one and go with the right products out there. Something very similar is done by Infosys. They call it IIN, which is Infosys Innovation Networks. So startups in that ecosystems are getting adapted to that one. The startup ecosystem, especially if you look into the Southeast Asia or India together, you will find totally different things have been happening all across the world. The technologies are getting innovated there in the Western and the developed world, but the use cases out here within the Southeast Asia is totally different. I can give you another example, like Google, the easy way for delivery system, Uber Eats and others which have been used in the Western world or the developed world, is not have the adoption because when they try to do the similar things into the Singapore, they have the biggest problem and the hurdle they have is not the maps. The biggest problem was the verticalization of the building. The time that it takes for somebody to get onto the 40th floor and come back, the delivery boy, how it's going to be added to this one. So that's a different use case. You need not to have a map only in the 2D side. Now you need to understand and get into the calculation, the entire stack of how you're going to do this. And that's where I think all panelists are talking of that how you could be situation aware that what is happening around the technologies, how it's going to eat away few of the industries or transform some of the industries, like insurance is a big case in the case of autonomous vehicles, how you're going to manage that part of it. Something similar what has been happening is corporates are putting in the co-innovation funds. Intel has, if you go to the Intel side, they have the Intel Capital. They innovate 100+ startups out there. They give them the funding and they are very clear that which areas they are going to touch base on. Something similar, what used to be a Western world earlier, like we used to talk about the SpaceX technology, something very similar the Indian companies have been doing. If somebody has heard of the name of Agnikul, they are making the launch pads that you can launch the small satellites by the back of the truck. Okay, and there are some VCs who have already invested on those things. So there is, I would say, in innovation front, there is excitement in the entire India industry or the Southeast Asia industry because the problems are unique and differentiated. And this is the first time that you will see the things are happening in Southeast Asia and getting adapted in the developed nations. Pick up the UPI, the payment gateways that we have. The Western world is still with the credit card. We just walk away with the mobile phones out there. Okay? There are pros and cons, but that's a different story. So corporates are investing. Another good area is in terms of creating the open forums like next in technologies of quantum computing. There are open forums around that. I'm not sure how many of you are really aware of quantum computing. If and it's already existing. It's getting offered by IBM, it's getting offered by Azure, it's getting offered by AWS. And the strength of the technology is the thing that used to take 48 years would happen in a week's time for you. That's a computational power of the technology. And the problem statement that we all, if you look into any cybersecurity guys, he's been worried about what is going to happen to my encryption. Because I built my encryption on 256-bit, 1024 bits. It's all going to be getting conquered away because this is going to break those encryptions in few days rather than taking a few years, 50 years, 60 years plus. It's a different problem statement altogether. And there are companies who are invested into it. Just day before yesterday, there was a news that Apple is the first company who created a platform for the iMessage, which even the quantum computing may not able to break the cryptography of that one. So, if you are passionate about any of the field, read, go in depth. There are corporates who have been investing into these startups. I can talk about my industry. I come from the IT services industry. Wipro has invested into the MoonSoft. SCL has invested into the MoonSoft in the initial days. The whole idea is that your transactions, especially on the application in the BFSI segment or the retail, customer has a tolerance of 2 minutes, 3 minutes on the retail side, but on the banking, few seconds. If transaction don't go through, it has to be broken down. How are you going to identify where the problem is, where my system of the records are getting break? Is it at the technology stack, at the infra, application, middleware, where exactly the break is? So they invested onto those technology with MoonSoft. Something very unique case has been coming for SAP Salonius, and very nearby to that one in the infra side is like Volvin, which talks about the drift technology. That means that if somebody by mistake make a change in anything in your IT environment, how do you able to identify that there is a change in the configuration? The system will be able to highlight it to you. So that's a drift technology which I've been involved with. So what I'm trying to say out here is startup system, ecosystem in India is going to get very, very exciting. TCS and everybody has been investing onto that one. And even I would say there are giants like Reliance who are thinking much beyond what we are thinking right now. So we are talking about the lithium ion. There are sodium ion batteries which are going to be even more powerful than that one. And there are only two companies who have the rights to do that because they are the one who have the patents. And Reliance has already made an acquisition at almost like 100 plus revenue levels that they presently have. They already made that acquisition. So think through that they are thinking 15 years ahead. So India is going to be a totally different country in 10 to 15 years. So I would say the message to everybody out in the room is be excited, read through, because these things may be looking very small as a snippets into a technology world, but this is having a paramount effect onto the industry altogether. That's the only message.
Fantastic. So many things I learned. How many of you have taken a note to go and Google on MoonSoft, on quantum computing? Show me your hands. This 1, 2 ways. That's it. People at the back. If you're listening, I think these are the future technologies. These are emerging right now. Right? Drift technology, Vikas spoke about. I think, in this limited time, I'm sure we cannot talk about all these technologies in detail, but this will tell you where the industry is going towards. This is where people are doing the research and development. And talking about research and development, I will come to Mr. Ashish. And Ashish, if you can, maybe on the similar lines, how do you see the research and development really changing as a result of the collaborative ecosystem coming together, right? And how do you see that in the next 20 years, 10, 20 years, how this is going to take the path?
Thank you, Sumit. I think Vikas has made my job slightly simpler because point TCS multiple times gave what TCS is already doing in this space. So, what I want to highlight at this point of time is my delivery would also include what the students can take off from this, rather than what at a whole research level the companies or corporates are doing for promoting sustainability within themselves or with the government in public partnership model. So what I want to start off with is, first thing is we try to utilize your research as well, which you may or may not be aware. right? We, apart from the point term you said, we also have something called TCS Space Board, where we collaborate with various institutions. Not in India, we have few collaborations in India as well, but we have abroad as well, where we research with the institutions and try to come up with solutions where we are trying to tackle on clients' requirements. Not everyone, we do not have that much bandwidth in terms of manpower as well as infrastructure. That is where we try to explore universities and colleges across India. And we try to set up labs of excellence where we can go and experiment there. One thing is that. Second thing is government funds, which are readily with institutions, may or may not be with corporates. So we try to utilize those, saying that how cheaper we can come out with these models. Apart from TCS, I also work with NITI Aayog as a mentor on change. So NITI Aayog is National Institute for Transforming India, which most of you may not expand it. You know it as a NITI Aayog, which is forming NITIs for India, but it is for transforming India. So the first and the foremost thing which NITI Aayog started with was the bottom-top approach, starting the change from the grassroots level. That is when we started out with something called Atal Tinkering Labs at schools. There is something called Idea Labs, which we set up at colleges as well. Similar model, you have Institution Innovation Council, which is an initiative of government to drive some innovation in that space. Having said that, now you are a management gathering student here. Please understand a truth and a fact, a bitter truth, that despite of being a management graduate, you cannot escape the shadow of technology. When I say that, I'm not asking all of you to start coding and learn coding. So what I'm trying to say is, understand the nuances of the trending technologies. How you can do that? Coming to the basic classroom level, try to look for what is the most trending technology. Like, everyone talked about AI, I won't say of AI. Go to Naukri.com or Monster.com, something, some similar platform of those, and put your entry-level roles. When I say put your entry-level roles, suppose you are from supply chain right now, put supply chain analyst. You are from finance, put financial analyst. And look for what are the keywords. When I say keywords, find those keywords and see that, are you certified in those fields? Okay? Because the keywords will give you a pathway of where you can build yourself, which is very important. Okay? Try to look for certification of at least entry level, E0, which is available for free on various online platforms. That is one of the biggest boon we have in terms of open internet, open innovation forum, right? So try to look for entry level certification of that technology, which combines or connects with your area of field, and then look for this. You should not be one of those people sitting in the boardroom where people are talking about, why can't we use Python? And some of you are thinking, Python? How can we use Python? No, you should understand Python is a language what they're talking about, not the snake, right? So that is where we want to at least break those barriers of, we understand that management has their own assets, engineering has their own assets. But what we in demand at this point of time is combination of both, okay? So try to look for those things. How you can get that at university level is, try to connect with professional societies of your campus, try to connect with various societies, especially like, e-cells, or say innovation cells, if you have something like that. Try to connect with your group colleges. When I say Jaipuria, you are a big institution. Try to explore the engineering part and talk to them and say what is trending there. That is where you can build a synergy and look to explore beyond textbooks, what everyone was requiring. So I gave you a pathway how you can do that, right? Internship forms one of the vital roles. Do not sit with a myth saying that, when final year comes, we'll look for it. No, there is no golden rule where it is for final years. Industrial training, industrial visits. You don't just see, it's not for CSE students or for mechanical students that they can go to production. Each one has their own interdisciplinary things to play in a setup. So each one of you can learn your own aspects there and see how these are intact in a setup, right? This is all research is all about. Research is not Greek and Latin. Okay, that is my submission.
Good. That's good. Excellent. You have some great, wow, big round of applause for all of us. All of us. So, as Ashish rightly said, so I just thought to take a quick cue from him and and can add up something, right? Because you know, it's vis-a-vis. Have you heard about a game of volleyball, right? What is the inflection you do? Throw it back, isn't it? And what is the reverse action? Throw it back to us, isn't it? That is how it has to be, and that is more of an inclusion, what we are looking for here. The other thing which I want to highlight is, because this popped up as an idea, you know, when an idea pops, what is the sound that comes in? I'll quickly make an action like this. Like this, isn't it? So, he rightly said, it's not about the lateral hiring and whatever, you know, we are talking about that we are hiring, yes, we are hiring, loud and clear. So it's not restricted to the lateral talent, it is you as well. The good part would be that you will be able to hold up vis-a-vis and, you know, a likability of the kind of skills we are looking for. And the conceptual understanding will not go anywhere. Not go anywhere. The base will be there, like a triangle, a firm base and two slanting lines all together, right? It will just try to be more consistent about the approach. The other thing which is more likely, which is right in front of you, is just that we have thousands of words right in front of us and we are trying to highlight it. Because highlighting and making the font bigger makes more sense to you guys, because you have that adaptability that you know everything. However, that guidance makes a difference. Now we go to LinkedIn. For example, how many degree connections? 3, first, second, third, direct, indirect, or X, Y, indirect. Now, what you do, what is the use of a hashtag? Anybody? Hashtag. People see very prominently on X, isn't it? Other than that, you can prominently use the same on LinkedIn. Why? Because if somebody got a right or a direct degree connection, second or third degree connection, if you put in a word of any of your skill, any skill, it will directly connect to the person, or it will just have a, what do you call it, commenting for better reach. It will give you a right outreach to that person if he or she is even related or even not related. So you can rightly use that. And that's very, very important. These things, you know, hold a collection of your thoughts and ideas, right? So don't go for the heavy stuff, right? Take that download in such a manner and bits and pieces all together and see to it what is actually available, readily available right now, and make the best use of it. And that's very, very important. Trust me. Thank you.
I think a lot of homework for all of you. I think you should tomorrow spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, Google, and other stuff. And thanks, Ashish and Harsh. Harsh, I want to change a bit of a gear here, right? So we are so far talking about the skills and the innovation and how and what this team should do. But on the corporate side, we do see this CSR, you know, coming into the picture, right? And every organization is doing it in their ways. No offense, but sometimes it's just tick in the box. Sometimes it's really done from the heart. How do you see this, you know, all this collaboration, innovation that we're talking about so far in the last half an hour? How do you see that changing the CSR part, which kind of helps this India vision of 2047? I'd like to hear it.
So, do you mind if I get up? Alright, so guys, CSR. What do you understand by CSR? Come on, people in the house. Okay, so when we say CSR, what comes to your mind first? Tell me. Is it limited to corporate? As the abbreviation says, corporate social responsibility. You really think so? Tell me. You know, when you talk about CSR, the first thing that pops to my mind, again that sound pops. What is it? Sense of belonging, isn't it? So why they are restricted to CSR? Let it be social sense of belonging, SSB, isn't it? So once we talk about CSR, it's not restricted to corporates, us, you, everybody. It is absolutely a social sense of belonging to every one of us. Trust me. I'll give one perspective here, everybody. I'm not sure if you agree or not. Talent management. We are people who are hiring people. So in some way or the other way, we are doing a CSR. Yes or no? We are empowering people. They have just given youth an opportunity. So it's part of the CSR. Other than that, any ideas, any inputs you have? What you see, you know, companies are doing it. Any idea about it? Because there's a lot of storytelling companies does, lot of work. They just invest a lot of time, money, efforts, people, engagement of people, industry, academia. Any inputs from you guys? No, yes? Okay, so there are a lot of organizations, including us. So we are just putting up a bid factory model. So let's say if somebody passes out their 12th section, right? And they are just soon getting into a graduate stage of graduation. So once they are doing it, so what is it?
what comes to their mind first? Lot of confusion, lot of decision making which is into place. They are not able to take the decision. As a part of corporate social responsibility, there are a lot of organizations what they do is they hold the adaptability to adopt those people who are underprivileged or who are differently able. Seriously, I'm telling you something which is very close to our heart, and this talks about your emotional question. This talks about your emotional question in terms of that how we can hold up something, a sense of belonging that we can give it back to the society. And the build factory model, what we do is that we adopt those people, we make them aware of certain things, certain aspects, we make them vis-a-vis with the observation of daily routine work, what we are doing in the office. So what it is, they don't have to take the admission in any of the college, university or anything like that. Probably they don't have to even think about it that after 12th standard, they have to enroll for anything. How we do it? We adopt them and we just make them more familiar with what we are doing in, what they will be doing in post their graduation. And that adaptability and that change that starts from after they are just even graduating in or they are into the process of graduation. So they get the idea, not only with words, with the practical thoughts or whatever we ask them and enable them to do. So corporate social responsibility is not related to us, it is in you. Likewise, we are sitting in this forum, isn't it? So it is again a part of the corporate social responsibility. We are very monotonous in our work, we are very busy in our work. This particular dais and this kind of platform which we attend, what we do, we are a part of social corporate responsibility team. That what we do, we spread a word of mouth to you guys. You multiply this as a chain reaction, you tell it to 10,000 of people and you just put a word that, I attended the session and I did this now. So this is again, any which ways we are part of the social corporate responsibility cause and we are spreading a word of mouth to people and we are just doing it with their action. Just imagine that you are boarding a cab or you see someone, you hold that, emotion that, somebody is underprivileged, we need to do something. You don't tell it, but you do it. That's an action which you're doing and that's a corporate social responsibility. If somebody is angry, you just put a word, okay, relax, calm down. And these kind of things happens. So anything which will 2x the anger of that person, you're trying to calm down that person so that a greater good or a greater action can be done. That is a social responsibility. So any which ways we are doing it, but we don't see it. However, we are doing it. So to hold a notification of it, corporate people are doing it in a much better manner. But I just would say that a vision for a corporate social responsibility should not restrict it to corporate. Each and everybody should have a sense of belonging, they should do it. That's very important. Thank you.
What a passionate answer, and I'm sure you now understand, it's not just a mundane tick in the box. This is the kind of passion you need. And I think as you move forward, just to add to what you said, with all the power of big data, with all the power of analytics, with all the power of collaborative ecosystem that we're talking about, I'm sure these things are going to help us in kind of directing our efforts in the right way. So if there is 100 rupees being spent somewhere, it really goes to the needy in the right manner and not just what is easy for us to do. And I think that's the message we want to share. Thank you once again. Now talking about all these tools, I want to go back to Bikas once again. A lot of tools we are talking about, AI we are talking about, IoTs that and you also spoke about some of the quantum computing and other things. How do you think this ecosystem that we are talking about again and again, how it will help in terms of adoption of these tools and technologies in a bigger way? And do you see, blockchain, for example, we are kind of hearing about it for quite some time. What future do you see about some of these technologies? And maybe if you want to talk about the life cycle of such technologies.
Thank you, Singh. So just picking up from what I said earlier about this. So there's quite a new set of technologies which have been coming up, which are truly disruptive technologies, which is going to change the world in and around you. And there are two kind of players who have been playing. Players like Google, who have been doing all the R&D in-house, Apple's who are doing all the R&D in-house, and there are startup ecosystems who have been doing the R&D in a small niche use case base, or probably a small niche area that they have been highly focused and going deep on. And there is a collaboration of both of them which have been happening, as I talked earlier about, in terms of how the organizations are developing the strategies to bring them closer to the real world problem and give them the podium to apply them into the customer environments. Another experiment which has been happening is like there is a sponsorship which has been happening and a takeover in certain cases which have been happening. I can talk about the takeover first, like the Weather Channel company. So I will over a while back. It initially funded that company because why should I get into the weather? What an IBM has to do with the weather? Because at the end of the day, the technology companies in 2010 and 2015 had understood it well enough that we are not going to sustain, we are not just a technology partner, we are actually a business partners. We have to change the business from entirety. We need to understand the business from entirety. And if I can get the real-time weather data, I can affect many of the industries, including your agriculture industries, your aerospace industries, travel industries, and many more. And that's why they started adapting this. Something very similar, very unique, very recent. I'm sure most of you must have used. My son who is in school is using it as ChatGPT. Okay, I'm sure most of you must be aware of that. It's a product from which company? Anybody? Any guesses? Yeah, I see a lot of hands out there. So OpenAI. Okay, so OpenAI has started off as a $1 billion investment company for non-profit. Elon Musk has invested in it. Multiple other investors have invested in it. Starting in something like 6-7 years back. The problem was that because if you want to, and what is their motto? So OpenAI motto is not ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the only very first step that they are taking. They are getting into the artificial general intelligence. What is artificial general intelligence going to be? That your computer should think, behave, and work like a human. And think through that one. If they behave, work like a human being, they will start adapting the things. There are a lot of going to be ethics problems and other. I will touch this on that one. So what is happening is in that spaces, they run out of the money. They obviously because they need a lot of compute power and all other stuff. So they got into selling the stakes and all, and they opened another division which was just to make enough profit to start sponsoring the OpenAI work. So they called it OpenAI LLC. Microsoft has bought the shares from the initial investors and they have invested on it. 49% share is there with the Microsoft out there. So what is happening? What is the benefit of Microsoft? Why they have been taking it up or what they have been going to do with that fund? They got the exclusive right to use ChatGPT. And now if you look through, they are bringing it in all the products. They have Power App, which is the automation platform. They are bringing in as a co-pilot. They are bringing in co-pilot in their D365, which is something very similar to SAP do in terms of the CRM part. They are bringing it in. They are bringing it in to help you out in writing your business letters in the 465, Outlook and all. They are bringing in for your team communication to make sure that yes, they should be able to interrelate it to your calendar. If you put it across a travel request, it will straight away get into your calendar and it block the calendar that you would be traveling at that time. Okay, so they are thinking from a business end. There is a research academia which is thinking on the research and how they have been coming together to solve the business problems out there. So that's the way the collaboration and the adaptability is happening. How many of you have heard of Hacktober? It's a Facebook biggest event of hackathon which happens across the world. And it's purely on not the Facebook or Meta development, it's on the open forum development that they talk about. And IBM, Wipro, Infosys, Intel all have collaborated for what we have been calling of the blockchain, which is nothing but the open forum Linux with the blockchain ledger capability. What is going to change? Because now it's open source. Anybody can adapt. Any startup will be able to adapt it up. They don't need to invest on the licenses because what corporate boards is a license. You can't come onto my platform because I have the license I spent on the R&D. But now it's open forum, so they are adapting it now. So what you get out of that one, you will start getting the new products which will be blockchain enabled. You have your smart contracts. You can able to find out what you are eating as a food today. You will able to find out from where the source of the greens was. That's the kind of products that they have been working on. So that's where I was saying this new technologies which we say is going to get adapted is actually getting adapted. It's a small scale right now, at a disruptive scale for the industry. Even a management student who has no clue and no interest in the technology should look into that. Reason being, because it could be an opportunity to make big money out there. Open up altogether a different industry.
We talked about the 15-minute delivery. So there's a big joke in Bangalore that we talk about. That people go to their office, took 2 hours to reach their office to develop an application which delivered in 15 minutes. Okay, so that's the Bangalore joke. So these kind of things which have been happening out there, the technologies are becoming real. And my biggest point that I take it over is India has really started participating in most of those technologies. The way the ecosystem has evolved, you know, there are 100 plus unicorns which came out of India now. Very recently we achieved 100 plus unicorns out of India. And there are ecosystems. If you talk to any of the technocrats, they are talk about only 2 big ecosystems which have got developed. One is Silicon Valley, another is Bangalore. Okay, because these are the hub where the like minded talk through the business challenges and what all we have been attacking. So these are all the technologies which have been coming up. There is a like quantum computing that I talked through. There is a big hype that people are just collecting data right now of the industries because they know if I collect the encrypted data today, I would have a technology in 5 years where I will be able to break it up and get to know the trade secret of that. So that's another hacker methodology that hackers are using to just collect the data without knowing that they will be able to track it up or not. So there's all new things and exciting things happening around us. These new technologies are going to change the face of the world very soon in and around us. And we talked about the sustainability. So within programming itself, there is a sustainability. Everybody of you are aware of that you work on Python versus you work on C. There would be a different carbon footprint because of the different CPU usage, different memory usage. So how you are going to do this? I can talk about one more technology. Sorry, I'm getting into the technology roller coaster, but I don't want to get into that roller coaster. But like California County has adapted confidential computing. So what is confidential computing? So right now, anything that you have been doing onto the computer, within the chipset, the encryptions are not there. Encryptions are there at the communication level, communication channel. So what they have been doing is, and Birlasoft is participating into that platform, which is my company. We have worked them for them. So what they have been doing is, we are working with Azure and develop this platform for them where they would be able to even bring in an encryption at a chipset and the memory level. So tomorrow, if somebody just take a memory away and it has some data, it will be able to extract it up. It's still not able to take your personal data or your PHI data, which could have unfortunately just be there on that particular drive. It would not able to do the reverse engineering of that. That's the level of depth that California County has gone to, and now it's been getting adapted by the other states, and the queries have started flowing in. So, and there, I'm sure there would be many other applications of this area which is going to come up. This is just on the healthcare side, but there would be many. So, with that one, I would say that what corporate provides to the startup ecosystem in adapting these new technologies is like a pizza base, a solid crust at the base, and startups are providing the use cases and the toppings on the top to make it really delicious for any industry that they are serving.
Thank you, Vikas. I'm sure a lot more. And I know we are reaching the top of there are so many messages we all will be shared with you. But today I think we are time pressed. There will be another opportunity. I mean, we are happy if you want to connect with us during the break for some question answers. But with that, we will probably close the session for now. Yes, please. Please.
I mean, with Vikas coming in, so Vikas will keep quiet. So what essence from the buyers that I wanted to see, the topic of this panel discussion was fostering collaborative ecosystem for sustainable things. Excellence. So, I mean, the best example of fostering collaboration, for sustainable ecosystem, a slogan that I want to leave behind, and it's coming in from WhatsApp University. As management, can you utilize artificial intelligence to remove natural stupidity existing in a society? And that completely doesn't.
Very well said. Very well said. And with that last message from Bikas, thank you very much. And I'm sure we are going to cross paths very soon again in future. All the very best for your session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sorabh, for coordinating the session so well and aiding us in getting the views from all our esteemed panelists. To looking beyond on what is being told in the newspapers, the dynamism of the current industry paradigm, and the role of industry exposure. With this, we are closing panel 2 with the felicitation ceremony. Mr. Raizada, Sorabh, Bali. Mr. Raj Jain. And Mr. Ashish Kumar. Thank you so much for providing us valuable insights for the session. Maybe come together for a group photograph.